welcome to the Money Tree. I'm David Holt.
And I'm David Marks.
And aren't you impressed? There are vests and ties today.
We dressed very nice.
Do you like the color, blue and purple?
It's a different combination. It's a different combination. So
Actually, David texted me this morning and said he was wearing a jacket and a tie. And I said, I'm wearing a vest and tie. That's what I got to do today. So I said,
we made it work.
The change.
We made it work. I was not dressed like this at school.
Really? I was.
I wasn't. I wore the shirt, but not the tie and vest.
Well, we do appreciate you guys tuning in to the Money Tree each week. We appreciate all the support for the mugs. The cups or your mugs. What's a proper term?
Coffee cup. That's what I would say.
Coffee cup.
Coffee mug, coffee cup.
That's exactly right. And they're clean. These are brand new. David was trying to drink out of one a while ago.
I modeled it. How do you like that?
Modeling. That's a great term for an educator. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, there were tons of people who liked it.
Yes, there are. And actually, I've had several requests for those who have said, how can I get one of those for my own? So we're in the process of that, yes.
Well, we want to tell you how much we do appreciate you watching, telling your friends about us. Most of the time, someone will stop me often and say they're watching, they're listening, they're trying, and I'm like, he is the mastermind. I just jabberer.
Well,
jabberer. Is that a word?
You got to put an ER on the end. I think all of that is necessary. You've got to have someone, and you've brought a lot of good insights, because when we need something from a generation ahead of mine's perspective, you're always good to be able to kick that in there.
A generation ahead of
That was
mine.
a nice way of saying you're older.
Thank you. Well, if they couldn't tell, I mean, there's...
Well, if mine was there to be gray, I guess that might make a difference. Maybe one day my beard will go gray. I don't know.
Well, it's better than calico, and that's why mine's no longer there.
That's true.
It looks good on a cat, but not on a face.
Right.
We do have some great people here at Mountain Valley Newspaper.
Yes.
Our #1 camera guy,
He does a
Mr.
wonderful
Arlen
job.
Blevins, does an amazing job. Although sometimes he struggles with audio
Technology portions.
or video technology. He's a willing vessel.
He is. But what I've seen is no matter what demands we put on him, he does his best to get that problem solved. So he's a problem solver.
And sometimes it's just as easy just to turn the camera on, and that would work.
Right. And I think that's what a lot of people probably think, in the age of modern technology where everyone has a YouTube channel and they just, use their phone, which seems convenient. There's actually a lot of work that goes into something like this, because you're not just doing a 5-minute or a 10-minute run. We have a 30-minute program to put together. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of design, there's a lot of technology that has to be used to make sure that you can hear us okay and we look okay, which takes work, I might say. And so all that being combined, when we push this out to Farmers TV, or we push this out to Mountain Valley Newspaper's Facebook page, or our Facebook page, or YouTube, or even the radio, there's a lot that goes into that.
And we have a guy that edits and puts our slides in after we do the recording, so we appreciate Chad. He does a great job.
He really likes it when I email the slides to him on time.
That's very helpful.
Kind of big.
And so the fine folks here at Mountain Valley Newspaper are co-sponsoring the
Coffee mugs.
Coffee mugs. Thank you.
You're welcome. I knew what you had to say.
I was searching for the word. And also, we appreciate Farmers Telephone TV, Channel 6, the local programming that also will bring our show to you. And additionally, WVSM, AM 1500 Rainsville, 103.1 FM Rejoice. The folks there are so gracious to bring the audio version, and lots of people listen to that format. Or you can go on and you can live stream it.
You can. We have a YouTube channel. We have a Facebook page. We also, of course, have moneytreetv.org, which is our website, which is where the bulk of the resources and all the old episodes and all the old leaflets that we've put out, all that's there. So when we post those, the show notes are there. You can also listen to our podcast and sign up for that via that, which is signed up as a blog. So if you don't use Apple products, you can also do it through a feed burner, whichever sort you may want to use, Google Access, whatever it may be. So there's all kind of things out there that you can do. And you can actually sign up for free stock through our website on Robinhood.
And probably most important, we should say, we're just regular common people.
Absolutely.
relatives. I'm the uncle, the nephew.
Mm-hmm.
And so excited to tell you that at our next recording, this person will have one of these on
Yeah,
his
that's
hand.
true. This Saturday, so kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. We are going to talk about in the future program about wedding planning and the expenses that go along with it.
Cost-effective wedding planning 101 and 102.
And I want you to know this one has done a lot of frugal shopping.
Yes.
Along with his fiance.
She's very good at that. She's probably better at it than I am, I would say.
Wise spending. You can have a beautiful wedding and you don't have to mortgage the farm.
That's right.
How's that?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Because at some point in time, we're going to get to the place that we're going to talk about today, and the next episode is retirement.
Yes, the actual title that I put on today's episode when I wrote this was Planning for Retirement, and this one's part 1, and of course we'll follow it up part 2. I always like to give a money fact whenever we do this, so here's what I want to do. 5% of people who buy lottery tickets actually make up 51% of the lottery tickets that are sold.
Really?
Yes, and outside of that, for those of you who are driving more than 10 miles to get those lottery tickets, then you have a higher risk of being in an auto accident than most other people. I don't know. More than 10 miles.
Yeah.
And outside of that, gambling in the United States generates more funds than all other extracurriculars put together. For example, sports, or maybe even any kind of movie theater, anything like that.
So
cruise ships, theme parks.
You think people are just trying to get rich quick?
Quick. Well, we all love the sound of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the conversation Saturday while we were going to Chattanooga to eat, the conversation was, if I had X amount of money, how would I try to, invest or spend, or what would I do? So I think that, having the idea of a lot of money is something that all people, a phase they go through at some point in time in their life. The funny thing about that is, I don't know if it's really funny, but the sad thing about that, I guess I should say, is that you should go back and see statistics on people who win the lottery and kind of what it does to their life. Mm-hmm. It's almost like instead of it being this good thing, it winds up being a very destructive thing.
Yeah.
I would venture to say that 75% of people who win the lottery wind up having just awful things happen in their life. It's like a curse almost.
Well, let me tell you, before we jump into that,
sure.
I want to share something that's, we've talked about before. Real life happens, and the job that I'm in today allows me the opportunity to interview young people in the DeKalb County school system. Okay. So actually today and last week, I was interviewing juniors and seniors. Mm-hmm. They prepare a resume, and we bring myself and other outside people in to ask them questions. So I always like to ask them a question that's difficult to answer.
Sure.
Because you want them, just like when they're in an interview, they're going to
put them on the spot.
Helps you think on your feet. What are you going to do? And so I have asked them in the past to describe a color to a blind person. Mm-hmm. Well, recently I changed that question up and said to them, I'm going to give you $1,000 as soon as we finish this interview, but you only have 4 hours to spend it. You have to spend every penny, or you give it all back. Okay. And what I've learned about young people, I would say 90% of the time they're looking for ways to help others.
That's all.
And to me, that is such a positive thing about our young people today, that oftentimes the media outlets do not promote the good things that our young people are doing and who they are. And I was just moved by that. One young man that I interviewed said he would buy food.
Well, that was kind of what crossed my mind when you said that, is, go to a grocery store and say, I want to spend $1,000, let people who need it come in, elderly, whatever, let them go. Or take $500 and go to a pharmacy, and $500 go to a grocery store and say, find those who need it.
I was concerned about this young child because I thought, oh my gosh, does he not have food to eat? So I talked to the counselor afterwards. Mm-hmm. And actually the culture that they don't have the extra junk food, fast food that we're all accustomed to having in American homes. And I thought, that I was just so moved by that.
I think that buying $1,000 worth of honey buns would be great. Who would turn that down? People on a diet.
Well, if
maybe.
it was Krispy Kreme, I would be taking the boxes.
Yes. What if the hot sign was on and you had $1,000 worth of donuts?
I'm telling you.
You'd have a lot of friends.
So there's a lot of good young people out there, and I think we need to talk about how good
Absolutely.
they are, and I'm happy.
So let's hit for those young people something today if we can. Can we
Okay.
take time to do that?
Sure.
And not necessarily high school students, but what do you think you need to retire?
Money.
Well, let me put it different. What do you think you need to do to plan for retirement?
To plan for it?
Yes.
You need to figure out. I don't know. I feel like you're setting me up for failure here.
Well, no, that's not necessarily the case. I think that a good response to that, or a good point of view to that, is depends on what stage of life you're in.
Okay.
So,
I understand that.
depending on what stage of life you're in, depends on how you need to plan or what you need to plan for retirement. So, while we're going to go up Saturday night to eat with Austin now, it's my cousins and my dad and some others, we're all, and I'm listening to the conversation brewing about, finances and how they plan and and I started listening to each different perspective, and from that, and of course some things from, older theories I've had, I developed a 3-tiered system. Okay? So if we can, let's look at the first slide, and this is going to break down the 3 tiers.
Okay.
Stage 1 would be your beginning journey. This would be anyone from age 25 to 40. And I know that seems like a big span, but just bear with me on the time there. Stage 2 would be your middle journey. That's your checkup, if we might say it like that. You start going to your doctor at age 40 to let him do checkups, and of course sometimes before, but that's from age 40 to 55. This is when you're really starting to check on what you started and to see where you need to go ahead. And then stage 3 is light at the end of the tunnel. And this is for those who are age 55 to 70. Now, age 70 being the cutoff because a lot of IRAs or pensions make you take distributions at 70. And of course, anything over 70, you would probably think as being fortunate to have. And I'm not saying that, the average lifespan of a man is maybe 72, maybe of a woman 76, and I'm ballparking that just off memory. But, those 3 stages is how we can break down what you need to do to plan for retirement. And I know not a lot of 18-year-olds are thinking about retirement, but those who are beginning at age 25, they need to be doing that. So that being said, that's the 3 stages that I've developed. I even found some cool graphics, pictures, if you want to say that.
Well, I started to say your stock photos are just amazing.
I know. Well, it's amazing what you can do with a little bit of permission from folks and with Facebook. So, Facebook
let me just say, because this is a family show.
It is. Very family.
The top picture, the stage 1, is my son and my daughter-in-law, my middle son, middle child, who has a little spark of deviousness at times. Mischievousness.
I don't know. I've never maybe seen that.
I think you have. And then at the bottom picture on the left is my wife and daughter and myself. Yeah. And so
you got to be the light at the end of the tunnel.
I was the light. I wanted to say I'm 55 and I'm on the light at the end of the tunnel, not the middle journey checkup, because that's the last year, and I am 55 and proud that I've made it this far.
Well, and you're getting into that to where it's kind of like when you're a junior in college. You know you're almost there, but you're not quite there yet. So you're entering into that tunnel that you're starting to see the light at the end, right?
Yeah.
And in the middle couple, I use their picture also. That is Ricky and Donis Barkley, very good friends of mine. Ricky's a great guy, he's an engineer. So if we can, let's go ahead and let's start our journey. Let's begin our journey, and let's talk about where we're going to be depending on our age and what stage in life we are. And that, of course, being the beginning journey. And not to try to play off a lot of themes here, but I put in "Don't Stop Believing." Maybe Chad can work in "Don't Stop Believing." Yeah, stop. Right, because you've got to remember when you're 25, you're not thinking a lot about retirement, but we do know that we want you to be thinking about the future. We want you to believe in that future and to see goals towards the end.
I know that a lot of times younger people don't see the value of that, but I can tell you, my mother has been an educator, or was an educator for 38 years. And one thing she was always preaching to my brother, who was a little scattered.
Less frugal? Maybe.
Well, it took him a little time to find his pathway.
I got you.
And so she was like, you need to find a job that has benefits. You need benefits. And she would preach benefits. And what she was trying to convey to him is insurance and retirement for job security or for security further down the road.
Absolutely.
So I think the benefit portion was what she was trying to say is plan for your future. Some jobs that you take just good money, they don't offer retirement or insurance, and you need those kinds of things, especially the older you get.
Absolutely, and that's why I developed this first stage. This is for anyone who's aged 25 to 40. They're beginning their career, they're settling into it, whatever. And it also shows that, with that 15-year time span there, that it's not too late. If you're 31, you still fit into that category.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look. The very first step that I have that you need to, and we have this on our second slide, if we can go ahead and look at that. The very first step is you need to create a lifetime financial goal. How do you want to retire? What moves can you make to make sure that you retire? How can you avoid disasters and you can, still plan? And what I mean by that is what can you do? Number one, how do you want to retire? Do you want to work until you're 70? Do you want to work until you're 55? Do you want to work until you fall over one day? Make that lifetime goal financially of this is the point that I want to be ready or try to be prepared to retire.
And let me jump in there because I will say as an educator, I used to think that by the time I reached 25 to 30 years that I would be through.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And when I got to 25 and then to 30, it really wasn't an option to retire at that time financially because of children that we still have in school.
Right. And
so that changes. You have a plan. But a plan is just a plan. It doesn't mean that's exactly what you're going to do. Things change as you go through life, and that makes the outcome a little different.
Well, and that, that kind of brings us up to the second step that I have.
So that was a good segue?
That was a good segue, which is budget.
Oh.
Because you cannot get to that end game goal without budgeting. I mean, that is going to be absolutely crucial. So looking back at that slide, on the second slide, we can see that, when you budget, you want to buy a home that is no more than 25% of your net pay. And I would even recommend doing a 30-year note, but paying additional amounts. And the reason I say that is because if you do a 15-year note and then you hit a hard time, going back to that first step, avoid disasters, you're going to be stuck with that higher payment. However, if you do a 30-year note and you can pay additional, if something were to happen in a disastrous situation, your payment's not so high. So you're still safe there. A lot of money that's for fun activities. Don't just say we're going to blow money, without any train of thought. You allot that money every month. You set that money aside. Envelope system. I say use it, especially if you're in debt.
Well, let me interrupt. Let me just remind you that we talked about preparing for the holiday, for Christmas season. If you're buying a gift card every month, $50 to $100, and you store that away in a safe place, when it gets Christmas time, you've already put that money away.
Put that money back. That's great. Now, it's almost similar. It's very similar. The next thing I put on there, and this is just kind of a line I was sitting there thinking of, dream of a Corvette and drive a Camry. Let the Corvette be your dream and let the Camry be the actual car that you own, because, you can save as you're younger by driving a used, dependable car. Budget for insurance and gas also when you are going to make that purchase. What's the first thing a lot of young guys want to do?
They want a new car.
They want a new car, a new truck, and they'll go buy this truck that's a gas hog, and the insurance is probably through the roof. That's fine if that's what you decide to do, but if you want to retire one day, then I say dream of a Corvette and buy the Camry.
And let me just tell you that when children come along and they're riding in your car, it is no longer a safe zone.
Yeah.
I mean, there are Cheerios and sippy cups and suckers and ice cream and
everything everywhere.
Bodily fluids.
Yeah, I was waiting to see how you covered that. I was waiting.
Just remember that really nice car that you dreamt about and you wanted and you purchased and you have it, and it's just not very conducive for children.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Our third step that we have on our slide is also debt elimination. Now, this is something that I know is very hard to do, especially for young people, because they want to go out and be, more frivolous with their spending. But I put eliminate student loan debt as the first thing. The best thing you can do is to, as fast as you can, get that student loan debt off of your back if you have that. Now, if you don't have that, of course, you can skip to number 2, which is eliminate all, and I put that in bold letters, all credit card debt. It's okay to have a credit card. You can even use them to your advantage if you have one that pays you back, or if they do mileage and you want to travel, that's fine, but make sure you pay the balance off every month. Don't let that continue to build. And the last thing I put is do not borrow except for large purchases, which would be a home or a car. Make sure that before you go buy something, let's say that you want a new MacBook Pro. That's great, but make sure that you have saved the money to buy that MacBook Pro. Don't go out and just take out a loan for a MacBook. Is it really necessary?
Let me just tell you, that's one thing that I'm learning from our show. I'm saving for a set of tires for my car.
There you go.
I mean, I don't want to borrow, don't want to put it on a credit card.
Right.
I want to be able to pay for those. They're not worn out yet, but I see that they're beginning to wear, and I'm thinking, you know, by summer, when a lot of driving comes around, I want to have the money to purchase the tires and pay for them and not have to borrow.
Right. Well, and this goes back to that avoiding disasters. You know, how can I avoid the disasters? Tires blow out, refrigerators tear up, things happen, washing machine goes down, whatever it may be. You try to still save and spend so that you can avoid those disasters and absorb the blow of those.
And let me just say, I am so excited about the stock photos, because that is a handsome couple.
Now, I'll tell you what, they look good on there, don't they?
They do.
Well, that's a good point, because now we can slide right into slide number 3.
Well, my next question is, when it gets to the light in the tunnel, are they going to see me better?
They are.
Okay.
It'll be a bigger picture.
Okay.
So
you got something to look forward to.
That's right. Slide number 3 is look for investment strategies. After you have, looked over these first 3 steps, you have created a goal, you've set up your budget, you've done a good job with debt elimination. That brings us to the 4th tier of the first group, which is still 25 to 40, and that is start looking for investment strategies. Now, the ones that I recommend may not be the ones you follow. Of course, this is something that you have to look for individually. This is just a good suggestion, I would say. The first one I would say is start a Roth IRA. Look for Morningstar 5-star funded mutual funds. These mutual funds should give you a return of at least 10% a year. Now, of course, the market, it being index-based, the market goes up and down. But you want to look for those that are Morningstar rated, 5-star rated, and that produce about 10% return every year. That's just a good idea. The next one is to invest in a company, 401k or pension plan, and everyone's may be structured different. Now, I would suggest you match your company's distributions. If they match 4%, put in 4%, or at least that much. However, in doing so, look at how your money is invested. Always know where your money's going to, and I would never recommend that you put all your money into your company stock. You need to diversify that portfolio. So make sure that you're putting some of it in funds or some of it in different company stocks, different sectors, we may say. Do not, if you work for one company, don't put it all in, Holt Incorporated. The reason why is because
there is no such company, but right. If there were.
And the reason I say that is because if you have a company like Sears or Kmart, all those people had put all that money into those companies, and now they're no longer there. So just make sure you're very wise about where your money's going. 3rd step, start a rainy day savings account. Always stash a little money back for rainy day funds, which helps you avoid disasters. And of course, the last one is pay yourself. Now, a lot of people, this may not be something that a lot of financial analysts may tell you to do, but I think this is a very good idea. And what I mean by pay yourself is buy a bank CD, certified deposit, not the compact disc. And I even looked, and on that slide, you can see it there at the bottom. You can do, with online banking now, you can find all kind of rates right now. Goldman Sachs has one that's a $500 minimum, and it pays you 1.87%. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but you're buying that CD year to year. If you do a 5-year CD, they pay you a better rate. So buy a CD for yourself, even if it's just $500. Put that into something that will be paying you later on. So that's just advice I'd want to give.
Well, and remember, we're talking about the first tier, beginning the journey toward retirement.
Yes. Don't stop believing.
And we hope Chad can edit some of that in.
Right. That would be great.
And we want you to, again, our goal is for you to manage your money, not let your money manage you.
Exactly. And all this sounds great and it's in theory, but life is very boots on the ground and practical. So we know that sometimes you have to work to these goals. It doesn't just happen overnight, especially if you work in education like we do. You can't just make that happen. But remember, in all things that you do, guys, it is so very important that you cannot know financial peace without first knowing the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ. So you have to have your priorities in line first. You notice on here that there's nothing talking about how you budget with 10% to your church or anything. It's just saying establish your budget. So make sure that when you look through these tiers that you try to set those goals, but those goals are very broad. Those goals are something that are very open. So your goals may not be the same as mine. You may not think CDs are a good idea. You may want to put more into your 401k, and you would probably produce a better return by doing that.
Well, and remember, we certainly do appreciate you guys tuning in. We hope that you will always go to our Facebook page and like the Money Tree. That gets you in the drawing for the mugs. This is a great logo David came up with. And also, Mountain Valley Newspaper is our partner.
That's right.
So make sure that you like our Facebook page. That gets you in the drawing. And a little bit later today, we're going to look at that, do a random draw, and give away another one. So you have to watch the Facebook page
to see
who gets to win that.
And I know our winner last week was pretty ecstatic that she won the coffee cup. I don't know if she's come by yet and picked it up, but she was pretty happy that she won. She said she never wins anything. So.
Well, and the other thing, there's going to be some additional prizes as we come along, and that's always a surprise. The good surprises are always the best.
We love those.
We don't like that the tire blew out surprise. We like to get something we weren't expecting.
Right. Absolutely. So these notes, our show notes are always online at moneytreetv.org. You can go in there and watch the episode. Once we get that shown in the correct formats and everything, you can listen to the program on your podcast.
And don't forget, if you'll go back to our previous first season, there's an episode where you can plug your financial information in. It will help you see where your money is going as you begin to plan for that budget. There's a whole show on budgeting.
We have a downloads portion to our website that has a financial spreadsheet that you can download, and it even gives you these little nifty graphics that you can look at.
Neat and nifty.
Maybe if we get you to start singing more, people would want to listen to the podcast while they're running. I don't know if that would be.
I need some help to smooth that out. But thank you so much for watching. We hope you'll tell your friends about us. Until next time, stay out of trouble and keep in control of your money.
That's right. God.